My guest at this time was recently seen calling the Triller Fight Club bout alongside Snoop Dogg. He is also the newest voice to MLW. It is Ray Flores. Ray, thank you very much for taking the time to chat with me here today.
What's up, Nick? How are you, my man? Pleasure to join you.
Absolutely, Ray. I am so happy that you are succeeding. Before we get into this, I just want to let everybody know I've known you. I think we've known each other almost a decade now.
Yeah, over 10 years. Seriously, over 10 years.
So we'll get into maybe more of our backstory and stuff here later on. But let's get to what everybody wants to know about. How did you wind up as part of this badass Triller Fight Club event sitting right next to Snoop Dogg calling a Logan Paul fight?
So, I mean, when Triller Fight Club started to, when they won the purse bid for the Teofimo Lopez-George Kambosos fight, they obviously made a statement because they bid for that fight and they won it. And that showed the world that, hey, they're going to be a player in combat sports. So, I saw that they were going to get ready to do the Jake Paul Ben Askren fight, but not a lot of information been released on that. So, I have representation. I had my representation look into it. And it's just all, the stars have to align for things to happen. So Peter Khan, who's the CBO, the chief boxing officer for Triller Fight Club, I've known him for a while, and him and I talked, and I didn't even know that he was going to be a part of Triller. And then, those conversations he suggested, he gave me a stamp of approval. And then other people that I didn't even know were within the company that I used to work with or have been around, they put in a good word as well. And, it just kind of, everyone signed off on it. Ryan Kavanaugh signed off on it, who's the head of Triller Fight Club, and Snoop Dogg as well. And, away we went last Saturday night on pay-per-view.
This is a pretty wild kind of event. This is a party event. When I think of boxing and stuff, Ray, you're synonymous now at this point with like Showtime boxing. You always dress very, very nice, very classy affair. Not to say that this wasn't a classy affair, but it was more of a party. I mean, how
different?
Yeah, very, very different kind of atmosphere. Is the management company that runs it, are they as different as other management companies you've worked with? Like, what's your vibe on the Triller crew as compared to other boxing outlets?
What I love about Triller is that they allow you to, not that other people don't allow you to be who they are, but it's just different mentalities. So when I asked Ryan Kavanaugh, right, like maybe an hour before getting ready to go on there, I'm like, hey, what are you looking for? What's give me an idea of what your vision is. He goes, be yourself. And I was like, well, I understand. I go, but what does that mean? You know what I mean? Like, I know a certain way of how to do things, but the way that you saw me on Saturday night is how you've seen me out if I'm in downtown Chicago and River North on a Saturday night, hanging out with my friends and stuff. I mean, I'm just being who I am. I like to go out. I like to have fun, not ridiculous, but I mean, I'm just a fun guy, right? I mean, that's just my mentality. I want to have a good time all the time. That's my mentality. I mean, I looked up to Ric Flair, how he used to do his thing and stuff like that. So he was just like, be who you are. He goes, whatever you want to say it. Don't be afraid to curse. I'm like, don't be afraid to curse. He goes, yeah. He goes, I don't care. He goes, just be you. And then he goes, you know what? He goes, I think you need to get a drink. He goes, get a drink before the show. So we all go. And, we're at the bar, maybe a few minutes before we're getting ready to go on pay-per-view, or like 30 minutes before we're getting ready to go on pay-per-view. We line up some Patron shots, and then I do one, and then he throws another one in there. He goes, you know what? He goes, I want you to relax. He goes, just be who you are. Just sit down, call the fights, and just be Ray Flores. I'm like, all right. So 2 shots, I went, bam, down the chute. I ordered another drink, and then away. I sat down, and it was like first fights walking, and then here we go. You know what I mean? That's what it was.
So you're taking these shots. Snoop Dogg's there. Who's there?
No. So Snoop was all over the place, right? So I'm with Ryan Kavanaugh, and I'm with one of the commentators, Mike Coppinger, and they're like, follow us. They're like, let's go to the bar. And this is 30 minutes before we're getting ready to go on air. And he's like, follow me. And I'm like, well, I'm with the boss of the company, so I can't get in trouble here. Like, I was a little like confused in some instances, but the bottom line is that Ryan is so awesome in terms of he just lets you just go and be you. Like, he's all like, I want your true self. So say what's ever on your mind, have fun, and just make sure that everyone gets an opportunity to talk. I'm like, I could do that. You know what I mean? It was so different and unique. And I just kind of let people, like, I let Snoop be Snoop. I let Mario Lopez be Mario Lopez. Pete Davidson was who he was. Crime Faces, same thing. And I'm just, it was just up to me to make sure that everyone got involved.
Were you able to party with Ric Flair?
I was not. That was the one guy, honestly, that's the one guy that I wanted to meet that I did not meet. I mean, I was like around a lot of cool people, but that's the one guy that I missed and stuff. I was like, oh man, I didn't meet the Nature Boy.
Did you have, I mean, the shot thing is pretty cool. Was there like one I mean, again, there's like so many crazy famous people there that traditionally I don't know that you would rub shoulders with it at a boxing event.
Yeah, you're right.
Was there like one kind of surreal moment outside of the taking shots thing where you're like, I can't believe that this is happening in this moment?
So as Justin Bieber is performing and we're on a break, right? This is before the main event between Jake Paul and Ben Askren. And I'm sitting to my right, Snoop's to my left, and everyone's kind of like watching Bieber. And I'm like looking over my notes and kind of preparing for the main event and going over my producer. And Snoop is there and he's like just he's paying attention to Bieber, but he's just so relaxed and happy. And him and I are just talking about whatever for like 5 minutes, just him and I, like we'd been friends for years. And I'm like, this is how this guy really is in everyday life. Like, this is not for the camera. This is just like, he's just an awesome dude.
Yeah.
And it was just nice to be able to share that moment with Snoop Dogg and kind of just behind the scenes. Like I'm sitting with Snoop Dogg and I'm just shooting the breeze with like an entertainment icon in, American history.
Man, I mean, this has got to feel great for you in this moment, Ray. I mean, you've been hustling, I think you said 16 years.
Yeah, 16 years. My first fight at the Hammond Civic Center was April of 2005, right after the Ultimate Fighter Season 1. Did it for public access TV in East Chicago, Indiana.
Yeah. And so so what is it? I mean, just for you, Ray, I mean, to kind of just be in this moment on your first pay-per-view, I mean, how are you taking it in right now, man? Like, what are you doing to celebrate right now?
Well, what I'm doing is I am nothing without hundreds upon hundreds of people that have poured their knowledge and their insight and gave me opportunities. There's so many promoters I work with around the world, network executives, matchmakers, producers, TV people, my parents, my friends. People believed in me from the very beginning. And for me, this is my way to say thank you. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for always thinking that I would be able to get to this point. I believed it, but this is my way to say, okay, now you can see what you believed in all along. So I would be nothing, Nick, without so many people. And I'm a byproduct of everyone's effort and determination, and they need to get the credit, not me. I was just kind of like moved along the way and just kind of went through it.
Well, and it's got to be very different because, like I say, like you come from a very traditional boxing background, largely, right? Like that's kind of where you cut your teeth. And like I say, there's so much bigger party environment, and people have had some things to say about Jake Paul, the boxer, or, Ben Askren, and how he performed. What do you think of the actual fights that are being put together here? Is it harder, easier for you to call these kind of more novelty fights, I guess, than like the premier fighting that you're used to calling?
Well, they're just different fights. And what I like about them is that the thing about it is, Nick, is that every fight, no matter what it is, no matter what the level is so different and has a story to tell. And I kind of like these unique matchups because you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, the one thing that I was saying coming into Triller Fight Club, and this is so true, especially as we had, cheap plug, by the way, June 5th, Teofimo Lopez and George Kambosos, expect the unexpected. I knew what we were going to do from point to point. How we were going to get there, I didn't really know. Like, I give my producer, Jeremy Olson, and also Ryan Kavanaugh, all the credit in the world because they got us from these points. But if someone's on a tangent and doing their thing, you're not going to cut off like Snoop Dogg or Mario Lopez or Pete Davidson. I'm going to let them be who they are. And then I had to get to these points. So I give them all the credit behind the scenes, man. They were masterful to be able to get us from point A to point B to point C.
Are there any other personalities that you'd like to see in a Triller Fight Club space that you think would really be comfortable in that kind of environment?
I would love, and I know that I said that I didn't meet him, but I would love to work with Ric Flair. I mean, can you imagine Ric Flair on the microphone with, oh my gosh, a few beverages and stuff like that? Oh man, can you imagine?
It seemed like he was enjoying calling the slap fights.
Yeah, I mean, he did, but that was like not like on the, he called it away from us. But I want to see Ric Flair and Snoop and Mario Lopez, and then whoever else they want to do. I mean, I think that would be freaking awesome.
What about fight-wise, though? I guess as much as I know your mind gravitated to who you would have the most fun in the booth with, but
Yeah.
fighter-wise, I mean, are there any other attraction fighters out there that you think would play well in a Triller Fight Club space?
In terms of like fighting wise?
Fighting-wise or just drawing-wise? Because, I mean, part of the Triller allure, like you said, is like it's anything can happen. These aren't always weather-tested fighters, right? There's an element of curiosity there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one of the names I guess maybe I was setting you up for that I thought you would jump to, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know about like a CM Punk. Like his career in UFC does not seem to have played out the way that I think he would have envisioned. I don't know that another fight plays there for him. Do you think a guy like CM Punk could find a home in kind of a Triller Fight Club environment?
I think if CM Punk wants to do it, I think that Triller would absolutely be open to it because he's still a big name. I mean, now that fans are coming back, you go to arenas all over the world and you still hear chants of CM Punk in different wrestling arenas all over. So if he wants to come back and he's willing to go in there and train, then I think he absolutely can make the connection and they'll definitely be open to it, whether or not it'll happen or not. It's kind of like the perfect storm. All the stars need to align for him to get in there. But if he wants to, and he's willing to put in the time in the gym, then why not? I mean, he's one of those guys that still now, after how long he's been away from sports entertainment and combat sports, he's still a big name in combat sports.
Yeah, because I feel like there's a lot of guys that, still have drawing power, but don't really have the outlet to fight right now. And a lot of those guys have kind of maybe drifted over to Bellator, the past couple of years. I feel like with the success and I mean the money that this Triller pay-per-view seems to have generated, man. I mean, it's really interesting to see this new platform open up to these, kind of non-traditional fighters or aged fighters in some senses, I guess.
Well, then also too, Nick, you're going to get, high-level matchups, but then you're also going to get, fun, unique fights. And then you're going to get entertainment that you're like, dang, like, okay, like I'm going to come and see a hip hop artist. And then I'm going to see, a guy, a professional boxing trainer who's a fighter, fight a reggaeton artist. I mean, it's kind of like all these different things are happening at once. And then you're getting Frank Mir against Steve Cunningham. I mean, those are the kind of things that you're like, is this really happening right now? But that's what you get on Triller.
And that's what I think is everybody is, how do you build a better mousetrap, right? How do you build a better fight card? I think a lot of people are looking at this kind of like with eyes wide open, like, wow, this is really different and fun. Do you think that we see elements of Triller start to roll over to a UFC, to a Showtime, to a Bellator? Do you think that more of what Triller's doing we'll see kind of copped elsewhere in some ways?
Well, here's the thing, though. Like, I understand that there could be that imitation is greatest form of flattery, but what Triller's doing with the minds behind the scenes, Nick, and the people that they have, a part of the show, they know what they're doing. It's this madness, but it is smart madness and it's organic madness. You can't fake it. So these other entities, if they try to do something that's out of the realm of what they typically do, it's going to come off as fake and not authentic. And you're going to be trying to bamboozle the audience. Yeah. And that's not what sells. So I think the Showtimes of the world and all these other different properties need to keep doing what they're doing. But if you want to spice up the entertainment, do it within the parameters of what you're doing. I'm going to go back to a movie that I liked. Way back when, if the movie Hitch, when Will Smith's telling, him, you stay in the box, don't get out of your box. Same rule applies when it comes to all these other networks. They're seeing what Triller is doing. That's cool and it's unique, but stay within your box. Don't get out of the box because then you may look ridiculous, but do what you feel is best for your property and your telecast.
Last thing about Triller, what's the future Triller look like in your opinion? And will we see you continue to be a part of the Triller family as far as you know?
Absolutely. June 5th. I'm excited, man. I'm pumped and ready to go. Miami's the destination. Where in Miami yet? I don't know. Bro, here's what I'm excited about. I'm going to kind of peel back the curtain a little bit. We're going to be in Miami. Like, Atlanta was dope. Like, it was so much fun, but we didn't have like fans in attendance. Florida's opening up now. People are getting vaccines. We're moving forward. I think we're going to have fans in attendance in Florida. It's going to be the start of the summer. You got a kick-ass fight with Teofimo Lopez, George Kambosos, Evander Holyfield's in the co-main event. It's Miami. It's Snoop. It's all these artists that are going to be around. Bro, I'm so excited. I can't wait. Like, my mind, like, I can't wait for the event and the party and the spectacle that is Triller.
How did the MLW gig come up, Ray?
Court Bauer is a guy that I used to work with at Combate Americas. I worked with Combate Americas years ago, and Court was brought on as creative mind behind the scenes, a producer. So Court and I have stayed in touch, and I love what he's doing with MLW and that entire roster. I love the uniqueness. It's so fresh for sports entertainment. And we were talking, and he's like, hey, would you be open? And I told him, I go, how do I get involved with MLW? I reached out to him because I'm like, I love what you're doing. I'm a pro wrestling guy at heart. Like, bottom line is this, like, I'm a pro wrestling guy at heart. I'm a big boxing guy. Chavez Sr. is like a god, but I was a little Hulkamaniac too. So I'm not ashamed to say that. So I grew up watching Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby the Brain Heenan and Gene Okerlund and Howard Finkel, guys that I looked up to in terms of how to broadcast, not just sports entertainment wise, but broadcast. Those guys were legends and will forever stand the test of time. So to be able to get the opportunity with MLW and bring my perspective, and again, Court doesn't produce me. He's like, I'm like, what's your thought process? He goes, just be who you are. I'm like, be who I am. So I'll be honest, Court kind of prepared me for Triller. Not that I'm like dropping F-bombs on like, MLW, because I'm not, but he's just letting me be who I am and call matches. And then St. Laurent is fantastic. And, him and I have a unique and fun chemistry. So I love the roster and I can't wait. I'm with them for over the next year. And I'm really excited about what's to come.
That's the thing is, so like, again, most people know you from Showtime and now Triller, but like I know you from pro wrestling, Ray.
Yes.
Like when I was managing as Ronaldo Piven, and then I was starting to kind of transition out to other things. You came into the picture. We hit it off. I could tell you were the genuine article from day one, and you wound up taking over my pro wrestling
stable.
You took over my stable, the Elite, the original, the Elite, not the Young Bucks Elite, our Elite. And, that's kind of how we hit it off here. And so you've been a manager like I've been a manager. I'm calling action now for Warrior Wrestling. I know how different it is to be a manager. The skill set is very different than when you're calling wrestling. It requires very different things. How has it been for you getting to learn and know what it is to be a pro wrestling commentator?
What's awesome is that Court Bauer gave me the greatest compliment in the sense that he said, you doing pro wrestling managing for Pro Wrestling Blitz. Court told me that me learning being a pro wrestling manager helped me out because it taught me the foundation, taught me the basics of the business. Yep. And he said, you learn the old school way. I love old Van Damme movies. And when they talk about in those Van Damme movies, you learn the old school way of martial arts. I learned the old school way of pro wrestling with Blitz. And then I brought that mindset, and with the people that I worked with so many phenomenal athletes, Nick, and guys that you worked with, the Matty Stars of the world and Vic Caprice and, all those guys. The roster and the locker room was so awesome to me, and they taught me so much. So you never lose that. So I always had in my back pocket when I got with MLW, I kind of just refreshed it, and talking with Court and learning his guidance and stuff, it kind of all snowballed together and makes up what my style is on the air on a regular weekly basis.
I was wondering, it's maybe just a shot in the dark, but I see a lot of similarities between you and Morrow, especially from the transition from when he was calling boxing MMA over to pro wrestling. I don't know if you're friends with Morrow or if you've ever talked to him about the transition, but I feel like there's some common ground there between the two of you.
Well, I respect him. Because he's done a lot in the business. And the guy just continues to just go. He has a crazy motor, and I'm the same way. I love this business. I love, sports and combat sports and entertainment and everything. So it's been a blessing. And as you know, in this business, Nick, you can never be too busy. When you get an opportunity, you got to keep moving forward. And that's what my mindset is every single day.
How about this Vice TV news, Ray?
Bro, Court Bauer again, like we're going to crank it up to 100. We were like, I'm not going to say it, like, it's weird to say we, because like I'm newly kind of saying that because I like to give respect to the companies I work with, but we're now on Vice and we're going to really turn the heat up. We're coming back to Philadelphia, July 10th, 2300 Arena. That's a building that has rich tradition and rich history. I think MLW fans are going to see something unique and fresh and different. You're going to get the same MLW, but we're going to turn it up to 100. So get ready for a fun late spring and early summertime.
And with MLW, I'm super I'm very happy about the Vice TV news. I mean, that's pretty wild, man. I mean, you're on literally multiple channels at this point, Ray. What do you think by the end of the year? Do you think there's a possibility we see maybe live MLW TV over on Vice TV or no?
I would hope so. I mean, it all depends on what, you know, the athletes and what Court's vision is and stuff. I mean, he knows that, hey, when he's ready to go and he moves in a direction, we're all like, okay, here we go. You know what I mean? We're following the mindset. I mean, it's pretty much the WWE when it comes to Vince McMahon. When Vince has a vision, people follow that. And there's a reason why the WWE has been so successful forever and has transcended the business. MLW is carving out their own niche and creating their own story. And Court Bauer is the one leading the charge. So if he says we're doing live TV, let's rock and roll. Let's make it happen, man. I mean, I got plenty of suits in my closet, so I'm ready to go.
You have really nice suits, Ray. You have really nice suits. I'm so jealous.
Well, so do you, Nick. I agree.
I don't. Like, not like you do. I have like one nice suit. I have a funny suit. I have a t-shirt with a tuxedo on it. You have like suits, my friend. So
yeah. So, I mean, put it this way. I have some at my parents' house and stuff like that in case I need to get a few or whatever. So they're there.
All right. Suits on suits on suits. Regular deck of cards over here. All right. Ray, where do you want to send people to find you, follow you, support you, all those great things?
Oh, man. SBR Flores is on social media. SBR Flores. Really excited, Nick. Next week, I'll be in Los Angeles again. We got a pay-per-view coming up. Andy Ruiz, Chris Arreola. I'll be out in Los Angeles. FS1 press conference on Wednesday. Weigh-in Friday. Fight Saturday. So check it out. Pay-per-view. MLW every single Wednesday. Triller Fight Club, June 5th. George Kambosos, Teofimo Lopez. Two lightweights are going to beat the crap out of each other. It's going to be wild. And who knows what celebrities we're going to have all over the place down in South Beach.